Anyone got a pencil? Hello and welcome to the Mixtape podcast. My name's Mark and I am your host. Thank you so much for tuning in for this week's episode. Every week on the show, I ask my guests to make up an imaginary mixtape and pick 6 tracks for it. I've had some incredible chats. They're already there in the archives, just waiting for you to stumble across them. I've had chats with Steve Kilby from The Church, Rowetta from The Happy Mondays, Rick from Ash. I've had Al Anderson, one of the original Wailers. I've had Clint Boone from Your Spiral Carpets. I've had Donita Sparks from L7. I've had Scott Kirkland from The Crystal Method. There's lots and lots of episodes sitting there waiting for you to discover. If you enjoy this week's episode, please feel free to rate it 5 stars on Spotify and or jump up to the top of the page and hit that old follow or subscribe button, and you'll be notified every time there is a new episode. Catch up with everything I'm doing by going to www.themixtapepodcast.com. That's enough for the intro. I hope you enjoy this week's episode. Tonight, it's a very warm welcome to Paddy from the Dreggs. How are you, Paddy?
G'day, good. How are you?
Great, mate, great. Thanks for coming on and making the time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So we just heard your new single, Peeps with the Goods, and that's from your debut album that's coming out this week. Tell us a little bit about, the single and what can people expect from the album and some of your songwriting inspirations for the songs on the album.
Yeah, so Peeps was our latest single. We were actually given the wonderful opportunity to write and record that with Matt Corby. I'm sure as people can sort of tell by listening to it, there is quite a big Matt Corby flavour on it. And that is because we actually did get to work with him on that track in his studio at Rainbow Valley Records, which was awesome. It was such an amazing opportunity to do that. But yeah, the album, it's got a very eclectic feel to it. Basically, I mean, the backbone of myself and Zane and our career has always been mental health and mental health awareness. And so that's been a narrative that we've always liked to touch on. And so this album is actually, the album was actually amalgamated from the concept of the 5 stages of grief. So there's actually each of those themes are touched on in throughout the album, and so it was sort of there's a lot of different feelings and dynamic shifts in that album, and in the hopes that if someone can sit down and listen to it from track 1 through track 12, they might be able to take something from it and understand that it's perfectly okay as a human to feel this way, and it's a bit of a personal diary that we're actually releasing to the world, which is in itself is quite nerve-wracking. We're basically just handing out diary entries to people that we don't know. Yeah,
I'm sure people are going to enjoy the album when it comes out. So you got your album launches around the country this week and next. They're all sold out. Is that right? There's no tickets for those. They're all done and dusted. All sold out already.
All sold out for the album launches, but we had just recently announced a major Australian run as part of the actual Court of Reverie tour. These shows we've got coming up in a couple of weeks are just they're the album launch parties. They're basically, when people can sort of come in and sit in a more intimate venue and, we can actually talk about the songs and play the whole set list from front to back and chat to the people and sort of have a bit of fun with it. But we've just announced the major tour in June, July for all of our larger shows, which there are still tickets absolutely readily available to get.
Yep. There's a fair few New Zealand dates as well. I saw on that, but you're hitting all the major cities around Australia, and it's the dregsmusic.com for tickets. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Yeah. Awesome. And so with Matt Corby, how did that come around? Do you know him, mutual friends, or do you just know him from the scene, or how did that happen?
Funnily enough, it actually, what happened was we, as a joke on Instagram, we'd sent Rainbow Valley Records a message just saying, sign us, please. And, we were just sort of toying around, and they actually got back to us straight away. They were like, oh, we'd actually be interested in having a conversation. And we were like, oh, okay, that kind of shot forward a little bit quicker than what we were expecting. And so, we got, so in turn, we were talking to Alex Henriksen, who works with Matt Corby on Rainbow Valley Records. And we got his contact, and he actually ended up driving. He's from Brisbane, and he actually ended up driving up to the sunny coast. And we had lunch and we played a game of golf and we just chilled out and talked. And he basically said to us when we first met him, he's like, I don't talk business right from the get-go because I would rather talk business to people that I can hang out with. And we resonated with that quite a lot.
Sure.
And so, the first few times we hung out, we just played golf, or I'm pretty sure I added him on PlayStation, and we were playing video games with each other for a fair while before actually talking shop. And then, all of a sudden we worked with him on a song called Madeline, which we released early last year. We actually really liked working with him on that track. And so we asked him if he'd be interested in producing our album that we were trying to work on. And then just through that, we sort of got to know him more. And then he introduced us to Matt. We went out to lunch with him and Matt one day, and because then Matt sort of expressed some interest in signing us. And we caught up with him, and then he invited us to come down south and record with him at his studio. And obviously we were stoked, so we jumped at that chance. And we hung out with him for a couple of days and recorded that, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Unfortunately we actually, to be honest, we decided to walk away from the deal, not out of any other reason other than, myself and Zane just thought about it, and we just came to the conclusion that maybe we're not ready to sign just yet.
Yeah, fair enough.
But, from it though, we still have a very good friendship with Alex, and we still finished off the record with him, and we're going to work with him on future stuff as well. And we've had chats with Matt as well, and, we're still keen to do some more stuff with him as well. So yeah, it was a really cool process, working with Matt, and it's something that I'll take to the grave for sure.
Yeah. He's one of my favourite Australian artists, no doubt. Like he first popped up on my radar with his Like a Version, and that blew me away. But I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. We'll get on to Matt Corby in a bit. I don't want to give too many spoilers away on your mixtape choices, but we'll get into a bit of Matt Corby in a little while. Let's drop into your mixtape choices then, Paddy. Okay, so one, Paddy, when I make up a playlist or a mixtape or anything like that, I always like to go in foreign style and kick it off with an attention grabber. So what did you pick for your track one, mate?
I Will Wait by Mumford & Sons. It's I love this track. It just grabs you right from the get-go. It just comes in so strong. Mumford & Sons was the first act that actually I fell in love with one in the folk realm. It's got that awesome kind of gritty Irish folk kind of feeling to it. And I Will Wait off one of their earliest albums. And it's one of my all-time favorite tracks. Yeah.
I think this is a bit of a niche comment, but a lot of people I know from the town where I live, and if you say Mumford and Sons to anyone from where I'm from in Essex, it means something completely different. It's the most popular fish and chip shop for like miles around. It's called Mumford and Sons. So it always makes me laugh. I always think of it. I always think of that fish and chip shop whenever I hear any music.
That's phenomenal. That's how that to go.
Yeah, but it's unreal. I googled it today actually before I was going to talk to you to see if they were still in business, and they still are. They've been going like as long as I've been alive, like easy 40 years.
Phenomenal.
That's how good their fish and chips are. Yeah, shout out Mumford and Sons. But anyone from Grays in Essex who's listening to this podcast, they will know exactly what I mean by that. But it's funny because this will be episode 51, I think, when this goes out, and Mumford and Sons have never come up except for last week and then this week again. I had singer-songwriter from the UK on last week, and he was talking about when he met Mumford and Sons when they played with Laura Marling, I think it was in Sydney, and he met Marcus Mumford. He was playing drums for Laura Marling, and we were chatting about that. And it's funny, 2 weeks they haven't come up in 51 episodes, and then like buses, 2 weeks in a row, bang, bang, there they are. Okay. Track 2, Paddy, is a song you sing when you're on your own, loud and proud, in the car or the shower. What would you pick for that, mate?
Miracle Love by Matt Corby.
Yeah.
Absolute belter. That's just you can't. Whenever that song comes on, you just cannot not sing it. No matter how badly you can hit those notes, you just cannot. Never.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. There's not many who can sing like Matt Corby. I think I'm a big Jeff Buckley fan, and when I first came here, the buzz was like, "Oh, he's got that sort of falsetto sort of style, in the Jeff Buckley mold." And I was like, "Oh, not another one." But he's next level, Matt Corby. I absolutely love his vocals. Yeah, in the shower, you get a little bit of a lift, don't you, with the high notes. So probably not too bad in the shower with a bit of steam and tiles and whatnot. It's probably a bit better.
Open up there, that throat out.
I love the way he kind of he doesn't just do that like sort of that cycle of like put out an album, tour it, put out an album, tour it. Do you know what I mean? He does like the odd EP here and there. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't really sort of, get stuck in that sort of cycle. Is he on his own? Does he put his own stuff out, Paddy, on his own label?
He does, yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah. I remember seeing the clip. Have you seen the clip of him on Australian Idol?
Oh, man, with the bloody hair.
That's so funny. I mean, you can tell even then, like, do you know what I mean? Like, what is he, 15 or 16 or something on that clip? If you're listening to this on the YouTube channel, I'll put a link in the description to that because it's well worth looking at. Yeah, unbelievable. I think does he sing Superstition or something like that? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Absolutely rips into it. Yeah, it's fantastic. Fantastic clip that, yeah. Shout out Matt Corby. He's well worth a visit. I think he hasn't been to Perth for a long time, maybe pre-COVID since he was in Perth. But yeah, so he's well overdue a tour. I'll be there for sure next time he's out. Okay, this next one's an interesting one. I've been down a massive rabbit hole for a lot of this afternoon on this next band. So track 3 is a cover version, Paddy, and tell us all about Scary Pockets.
So I came across they're actually they are a social media page called Scary Pockets, and they are on Spotify. If you type in Scary Pockets, you can find them. But basically, they get artists to come in and then do covers of just famous classics in and just a really awesome, like groovy kind of way. And so the track that I picked for this was "Staying Alive" featuring Lizzie McAlpine. Phenomenal track. I came across it maybe late last year, and I thought it was so well done, and her voice is just
she's got a sweet voice, isn't she? Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, just so smooth on this track, and I fell in love with it, and so that's definitely my choice of cover that I've been loving lately.
That was my afternoon gone once I clicked on that YouTube link for the first track, because then I went down the YouTube rabbit hole with all their like other tracks, and
there's amazing ones there.
Oh, so good. The Darkness cover, I believe in a thing called Love. Like, that was unreal. That was so good.
Yeah.
I forget the girl's name now. It was Brooke something or other. But then I saw that Justin Hawkins he's got like a reaction sort of YouTube channel where he reacts to songs and stuff, and he was reacting to their cover of his song. And he was loving it. Yeah, he thought it was fantastic. The groove on that "Staying Alive" track is unreal. Yeah, fantastic. So thank you for introducing me to Scary Pockets, mate. Because I'm going to be playing them heaps on the show in future months and years, I'm sure. Okay, track 4, Paddy, is a song you wish you could have played to your 18-year-old self. What do you pick?
I'm going to be a bit cheeky here.
That's fine, mate.
I chose "Peeps for the Goods" by the Dreggs, just because I don't know if me and Zane have always had this conversation of like, oh man, like it would have been so nice if we met each other like straight out of school. We could have started this thing like a couple of years earlier. It's just one of those sort of things that we've always kind of joked around, and so that's probably my choice for track number 4 is our latest single. If I could go back in time, and then tell my 18-year-old self, like, here's a song that you get to write with Matt Corby. You need to find this man, Zane Harris, who lives down the road from you, and you need to start a band. I'm sure that's just what I want to do.
What sort of stuff were you listening to when you were that age, Paddy?
Yeah, I grew up with a really weird, not a weird music taste, but just a very eclectic music taste. My whole family are musical, and they all listen to varying generations of music. Country all the way through to hardcore to heavy metal to punkabilly and rockabilly and whatnot. So when I was 18, I had quite a mixed bag of goodies. For a while there, I was really into ska, like sort of even like the earlier generations of that, like two-tone and new wave and stuff. Loved a bit of punk. Yeah, I've always been into gospel and blues. I mean, I grew up in the church, and listening to like old blues artists like Helen Wolf and Muddy Waters, things like that. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it was just sort of a mixed flavor of things. Yeah, it's kind of hasn't really been until I've grown up. Like nowadays, I kind of probably narrowed my music taste a little bit more.
Track 5, Paddy, is a song you would put on your mixtape to let the listener know you are romantically interested. What would you pick for that?
Oh, yes. Would have to be "We Found Each Other in the Dark" by City and Colour.
Yeah.
Dallas Green is one of two of my favorite artists. I was introduced to him by my late brother, and we used to listen to him all the time when he was still around. And so moving forward, after he passed away, that, Dallas Green, Sitting Colour, his act is just sort of, there's a little piece of him that I could kind of take forward moving on. But one of my favorite tracks by him is a song called We Found Each Other in the Dark. And it's this really, for those of you who listen to Dallas Green, he's very, it's like, folk met emo, he's drum Alexis on Fire. And I think he's kind of taken that dynamic into the folk realm, and he just creates these amazingly dark, very emotional pieces. And We Found Each Other in the Dark is just, it's all the flavors of romantic, dark, poetic, and it's beautiful, and it's dark, beautiful. And I think it's a beautiful song, because sometimes in life, romance isn't, it's not a romance novel. Sometimes we find people.
Sometimes it's a horror story, mate.
Sometimes it's an absolute horror.
I'll cut that out. Little Hell was the first album I heard of his. I got introduced to that by a guy I used to work with when we were doing FIFO. And yeah, like you say, it is really dark and quite atmospheric, isn't it, that album? It's quite, like it is romantic, but yeah, I think, what's the track? The Great Optimist. That's the track I like. That's my favourite track off of that album. Yeah, and then obviously I went back and done the whole sort of, back catalogue and going forward, like listening. But I'm always drawn to artists like him who don't just stay in their lane. Like he done the album with Pink. Do you know what I mean? He's Alexis on Fire. He does his own stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like he does, you can tell he's on his own little artistic sort of path, and, whatever takes him, that's where he goes. And yeah, I love him for that. He's done a few, his amazing cover of Nutshell by Alice in Chains is phenomenal. It's one of my all-time favourite covers. And yeah, his last, what was his, I played it on the show, because my show goes out at 6:00, Paddy, so I have to be careful, like with what I play musically, with language and content and stuff like that. I used to be, when I first started, in the 10 till midnight slot. I could play whatever I wanted, and no one gave if I could just say, play whatever I wanted, because it was well after the Watershed, so it didn't matter. And his last single, I think it was probably one of the last but one show that I did in that time slot. A song's called With Up. Have you heard that one?
Oh, yeah.
I love that. I love that tune. I love the sentiment behind it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, we had it, but look it up.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that. I love the sentiment behind it. Yeah, I remember thinking when I was playing it, not many more chances to play songs like this on the radio, mate. So yeah, I'm actually starting to thinking about doing like a separate show where I can play, all that sort of, stuff that's content-wise and language-wise is a little bit too much for 6:00 on a Tuesday. But yeah, we'll see about that. I'm time poor enough as it is, so I might have to put that one on the back burner. Okay, and finally, Paddy, your last track of your mixtape is something a little bit left field or obscure, B-side album track, something you think maybe doesn't get the sort of kudos and attention that it deserves. What did you pick for that?
I picked a song by an artist called Didi Dumbo. It's a song called Walrus. Production-wise, I just when I sort of read the run sheet about picking an obscure track, that was just the track that came to mind. Because firstly, production-wise, it's a very oddly produced song. The timing and the instrument use and the tonality of things, it's a very bizarre song, and I think it's a very capturing song because it uses a wide array of noises and samples to they're just like a massive, just a melting pot, a cauldron of all these noises that just somehow happen to make up a really, really, really fun song. But aside from it being produced, I thought it was quite obscure because that Utopia Defeated album that song was on, which I think came out in it went bonkers, and he himself, especially that Walrus song went absolute nuts, and then nothing. It's like he just fell off the face of the earth. You can actually find Reddit forums online of like people discussing like, where did Didi Dumbo go?
Yeah, right, okay. Yeah.
But that was the track that came to mind. It was an interesting question. But yeah, that was just the first thing that popped up in terms of what I think is obscure.
Yeah. What I've got, Paddy, I try and plug it as sort of roughly every other podcast, but I've got 6 Spotify playlists on my Spotify account where the podcast goes out, and There's every track 1 that everyone's ever picked on one playlist, every track 2, every track 3. There's like 6 separate playlists, and the playlist for track 6 is just full of mad, obscure shit. It's so good. Like, I love listening to that. Yeah, it's like 50 something tracks on it now, and it's all stuff like that that's, you know, way out there, and yeah, a little bit left field. It's the mixtapepodcast.com if you're listening and you want to check out those Spotify playlists. On that note, Paddy, thanks so much for coming on the show, mate. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing you in Perth, mate. And safe travels and good luck with the album, mate.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Until next time.
Absolute pleasure. Cheers, mate. That was the Mixtape podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to jump up to the top of the page and smash that follow button, and you'll be notified every time there's a new episode. Or follow me on Instagram at the Mixtape Perth. Till the next time.